boys and girls. Welcome to another exciting episode of Trigger Warning Radio. I am your host, the Kaiju Conservative. Now, this past Sunday was the 2018 graduation ceremony at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. This should have been a joyous occasion, and for many of the seniors in attendance, it was a joyous occasion. You know, it marked the end of 4 years of hard work, that transition from, adolescence into adulthood and going off to college, and a whole big world opening up for these kids. Of course, it was bittersweet because there were 4 seniors who were honored at the ceremony that did not attend because they were killed when a madman, a piece of shit, rampaged through the school, killing 17 people. Now, celebrities were in attendance as well. Jimmy Fallon spoke at the ceremony, and by all accounts, it was a very moving occasion, for everybody who was in attendance. Of course, this means it was the perfect opportunity for the gun control crowd to push their agenda, because we can't keep politics out of anything, right, ladies and gentlemen? Everything is political, especially a graduation that took place at a school that just 4 months before was the site of a terrible massacre. Now, David Hogg was there. You all know how I feel about him, but he wore an orange cap because that's his thing now. His organization that he's promoting is this hashtag wear orange thing that the NRA co-opted pretty masterfully, actually, if you ask me. He had a $1.50 price tag on it, which, was a dig against Rubio and the amount of NRA money that he's accepted and blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, in case you missed it, a couple of days ago, David Hogg also tweeted about once again being automatically added onto the NRA membership roll. And I was reading the tweet, I was looking at that, and I was like, wait, hasn't this already been debunked months earlier? I mean, hasn't it already been proven that you can't just be automatically added onto the NRA's membership rolls, that you actually do have to fill out an application? According to David Hogg, though, he's got dozens of memberships, so I don't know what the hell he's smoking, but it just kind of proves just how retarded he actually is. Now, there were also teachers that got involved in the protest as well. A lot of teachers were wearing orange lipstick. The women were wearing it on their mouths, or self-identified women were wearing it on their mouths. Men were wearing it under their eyes, and it was a whole big to-do. And, of course, they donated all of the proceeds from the lipstick that was purchased to the Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence, which, of course, is a left-wing gun-grabbing front group, even though they will tell you that no, we don't want to ban guns, or nobody wants to take your guns, you stupid wingnuts. Just vote for this gun control measure and everything will be just fine. And why do you hate kids? It's the whole gun control debate has just grown tiresome. Now, you know what was not being talked about by the gun control crowd at this event? You know what was not being tweeted about by David Camera Hogg and the Hoggledites? School safety. Nobody was talking about that. Nobody was even considering that during that night. And you have to figure, why is that? Because the public is calling for more and more changes to school safety. Students are calling for more and more changes to school safety. And the Hoggledites and the left as a whole, they don't want to talk about it. They say that they're about saving lives, and they claim that the only way to do that is to control guns. Ban guns, get them out of people's hands, because apparently in the fantasy world that these people live in, if you get guns out of law-abiding citizens' hands, the criminals will just automatically, give up their guns as well. Of course, that's absolutely not the case. There's absolutely no gun control law that could have prevented the Parkland shooting. There's no gun control law that could have prevented any mass shooting. It does not work. And gun control as an immediate measure, it's not an immediate measure. Gun control is something that takes time. It takes time for legislation to work its way through the normal process. Unless you're Obama, and then you can just wave your pen and magically fiat that something happens. So, school safety measures, though, this is stuff that, could be enacted today. What am I talking about when I talk about school safety measures? School safety measures would include things like physical changes to the schools, installing metal detectors, limiting the number of entrances and exits, blocking off entrances and exits, changing fencing and changing landscaping to make it harder for somebody to gain access to the school, bulletproof doors, bulletproof glass, that sort of thing. But there's also stuff that can be done that wouldn't require any changes at all. For example, locking doors, to the outside. Schools nowadays, they've got so many exits for various reasons, fire safety being a primary one. But why can't we lock some of those doors from the outside? That wouldn't require really anything in a lot of cases, just changing out a lock or two, this is that, and it's something that would limit access to a school and would force a would-be school shooter to go in through one spot. We can add cops to schools, that sort of thing. And this is stuff that could be enacted today. It could be enacted over the summer break. But the left doesn't want to talk about any of it. This is stuff that could save lives. Limiting the entrances and exits in schools could save lives. Installing bulletproof windows, installing bulletproof doors, that's something that could save lives. But the left doesn't want to talk about any of that. They just want to talk about banning guns, taking guns out of the hands of law-abiding citizens, which is something that history has proven will not save lives. There's no gun law that could have stopped Parkland. Absolutely no gun law that could have stopped Parkland. And, these gun control fanatics, they're donating money to these leftist gun control organizations, thinking that they will have the answers, that they'll be able to push gun control through, and they'll be able to save the children. Why not donate to a group like Andrew Pollack's, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, I probably butchered the last name, but why not donate to his group, Americans for Class? His group is pushing school safety measures. It's pushing physical changes to school security. It's pushing things like armed guards in schools. It's pushing legislative changes, but it's also pushing parent volunteers and other volunteers to help secure schools against people who would do the students harm. Why not donate to a group like that? A group that's actually fighting for saving lives, that's actually trying to save lives. Of course, we all know the reason. The reason for that is because the gun control crowd does not want to save lives. That's not the goal here with gun control. The goal with gun control is, simply put, to control the people. You disarm the people, you control the people better, you can take away their freedoms little by little. That is the goal of the left in this regard. And when you hear a leftist talk about enacting gun control to save lives, they are lying, and they are the worst form of hypocrite, because they are tugging at people's heartstrings, and they are literally using children as bargaining chips to try and enact their legislative agenda. Something else that's not been talked about, that wasn't talked about during that night, is the authorities and this monumental failure to hold the authorities in Parkland accountable. The Broward School District, they enrolled the shooter in the Promise program that basically kept him from being arrested for the numerous crimes he committed. Why hasn't anybody taken the Broward superintendent to task on that? The sheriff's office, the Broward County Sheriff's Office, they visited the shooter's house dozens of times. At one point, he was pointing a gun at people and waving a gun around, and they did nothing. You even had the coward of Broward, Sheriff Scott Peterson, stood outside and did nothing while the shooting was going on. How many lives could he have saved if he walked in there, drew his gun, and confronted the shooter? Oh, and now Scott Peterson is complaining, saying that he's not a coward, that he didn't do nothing during the shooting. No, you know what, sir? You did absolutely nothing. That's exactly what you did. We've seen the videotape. You stood outside and you, quote unquote, set up a perimeter like a coward and did absolutely nothing. So don't go to the news or anybody complaining. Oh, and you're getting a big fat pension out of it as well. So don't go complaining about how you're not a coward and about how you're being vilified. You know, if it was up to a lot of people, you would be in jail, sir. The FBI had numerous tips about the shooter. In fact, at one point, they were told about a month before the shooting that he was going to shoot up a school, and they did absolutely nothing about it. Government completely failed in Parkland. It completely failed these kids, and the FBI, the Broward County School District, and the Broward County Sheriff's Office are the reason 17 people are dead. Yet again, the left is refusing to hold the government accountable because in their eyes, government is the answer. You know, government can't protect you when there's an actual school shooter or when they refuse to protect you from somebody who would become a school shooter and somebody who's committing obvious crimes. But yet we're supposed to turn over all control of guns to them. Yeah, that's going to happen. You know, the point here, folks, is that this shilling for gun control is undermining the effort to save lives. And that is the real tragedy of Parkland. You know, these kids, they could have used their voice to enact actual change. They could have used their voice to push for people, for governments and schools across the country to enact life-saving school safety measures. Instead, what did they do? They went the easy route. They went for the 15 minutes of fame, and they started talking about gun control. They started pushing that narrative about how if we had just banned guns, the shooter wouldn't have been able to get a gun and nothing bad would have happened at Parkland. Complete and utter bullshit. And people have seen that. You know, people are tuning out the Hogglites. It used to be in the weeks after Parkland, you couldn't throw a rock without hitting a reporter that was talking about David Hogg and his ilk. Now, though, nobody wants to hear from them. Nobody's paying attention to them. Why? Because they've seen their hypocrisy. These people, these kids, these Hogglites, David Hogg, Emma Gonzalez, and all their friends, they are in it for the spotlight. That is the only reason that they're there. They're there to be famous. They're standing on the dead bodies of their friends in order to have a national profile. They're not serious about change. They're complete and utter hypocrites. And that is the tragedy of Parkland. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, if you liked what you heard, leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Both of those things help me out quite a bit. If you want to leave a tip, go ahead and hit that stripe icon in the bottom right corner of the player and leave a little something for me. Once again, thanks for listening, and I will see you all next time.